Hey, this is Frontiers Horizon, and this is going to be my first entry into the Is It Worth It to Buy / value series for intro kits to wargaming. My basic premise of this series is pretty simple. Can be a very confusing hobby to get into, and oftentimes while there are intro kits or starter boxes, they usually cost still quite a bit of coin to actually buy into. So therefore, my idea is just to give a personal perspective on these kits and to make a value judgment. Fairly simple. This first one I'm starting off with is the Warhammer 40,000 9th edition Combat Patrol box set. It costs, at the current time of recording, around $140 officially from GW. It can get as low as $120 from your local game store or other retailers, such as Amazon. However, I do encourage you, if it is entirely possible, to buy from your LGS because they are a dying breed, especially with being hit with COVID, even though a lot of them are getting back to normal. I know that a lot have closed, and not to feed the Amazon monster. Anyways, in 40k, basically, the biggest faction, the faction that most people are usually interested in, is Space Marines. And so I thought, why not go with Deathwatch, because there are no units in here that are intended for, exclusively for Deathwatch, and at the same time, it basically gives me free reign to do whatever with them. So I'm going to paint them up as Blood Ravens because the Bloody Magpies need some love, even though it is just a meme. Anyways, the current total cost per miniature at full price would be around $9.33, or at the price I got it, about $8 per miniature, not including that. And yes, technically speaking, this Combat Patrol does give you more value than what the box would be worth if you piece things individually. If you got it from Games Workshop, $50 for the aggressors, $50 for the box of intercessors, and then $35 each for both characters. Comes to $170, or $170 if you bought everything from Games Workshop individually, or from a third-party source of around $145 individually. So yes, you do get a nice discount. The starter set also comes with the data sheets for the various units that are provided, but you will also probably need to get a Space Marine Codex at the very minimum, and if you want to paint them and play them as, say, the Deathwatch, you'll need to get the Deathwatch supplement, or if you want to play them as Space Wolves, the Space Wolves supplement. Play them as Dark Angels, so you need to get the supplement as well. This is one of the aspects in GW's marketing I really don't like, but at the same time, it's kind of necessary because otherwise it would be a bit too big, but they could probably do a bit better. To be honest with you, my biggest complaint about this box set is that that doesn't even include the upgrade sprues, which are about $12, which, if we really include the upgrade sprues, which aren't really essential, they are nice to have around, but in the end provide no real value outside of making your guys look a bit more aesthetically distinct, would be around $170 or $200. So the box is packed with value in the sense that it has value, but at the same time, for the Deathwatch Combat Patrol, there are no water slide transfers, which might be something that is a bit odd to complain about. However, it's nice to have those transfer sheets, even if they were just like one chapter per, because the entire point of Deathwatch, yes, I painted them up as Blood Ravens. However, it's nice to have that option around because you can give the Space Marines just that much more character instead of, because otherwise you kind of treat this as like just another generic box set, which you can swap out the parts for whatever, and that's just really dumb. I mean, if this were, say, the Space Wolves or the Dark Angels or the Blood Angels box combat patrols, I wouldn't have a problem with this, because the upgrade sprues would be easy to swallow, because obviously you only need to give them that. It's just kind of weird that GW would make this decision. Do I view this as a cynical cash grab? No, not really, because in the end, they do provide a good entry point into the hobby. It's just that I do feel that they could have done better whenever deciding to produce this. But that's just human nature sometimes. And we all can do better from time to time. Anyways, the construction of these guys are pretty simple, they're pretty easy. I didn't have any problems really assembling them. The biggest issue and then also a big plus in GW's favor, is that these aren't just single monopose push fit models, which they could have done. However, instead, they're the full kits, which honestly, it's nice to see that that they didn't decide, oh, we could just, cut some corners, do some, easy to build guys here and there, the full 9 yards, and decided to be, oh, we can basically trust the consumer enough that they won't be overwhelmed by the variety of options that they have. So again, you get a full box of aggressors with all the options. You get a full box of intercessors with all the options. You get different options for your lieutenant and your apothecary. However, another place where GW did drop the ball is that there is no painting guide, which is annoying because, well, the how to paint painting guides are, in all honesty, maybe not the best sometimes. It's nice to have it as a reference point, and as someone who has been in the hobby for around 2 years at this point, it's nice to have them, because just to jump off, otherwise you can get confused, and while there are 1,001 different websites out there, and oh yeah, I could always just look it up on GW's official website. Well, the problem with looking it up on GW's website is that not all of us want to just go on our phones. What happens whenever, the power, the internet's out? I mean, that's a very real option for a lot of people, is that they're not going to have 24/7 access to the internet where they can just look at it. Sometimes they just want to have a physical copy there. And in that regard, GW did drop the ball. I would have really liked them to actually just print it on the back of the cover of the assembly instructions, like they've done with everything. They even do it with their limited edition stuff, or just their regular stuff. And if this were the box of, say, a regular box, they would have had those instructions, the paint guide, right there. They had the paint guide for just about everything that I can think of, from the Sisters of Battle box set, the Fang and Claw, to just about, I believe, every single not every single combat patrol, but every single start collecting box, which was basically the predecessor to combat patrol itself. The only other time that we've had this happen, actually there have been a few times, the Indomitus did not have painting instructions, and that was actually it was acceptable that Indomitus didn't have painting instructions, because Indomitus was basically meant for any Space Marine army. Then there was also with the Necrons, it would have been just a bit too much. And the Kill Team box set didn't have them either, but that's also kind of a bit more acceptable because it's a specialist game, and I hate to say this, but specialist games are usually for people who know more about the franchise. They're not entry points. But if you're basically having a box set which is being marketed as an entry point, you should at least have a painting guide for people to have an idea of where to start. Because if you don't have a place for people to start, it's kind of hard to honestly get into the groove of, or at least it's hard. And GW does have the resources to print a simple painting guide, which they do on most every other thing that they make. Oh well. Would I recommend this to a absolute beginner who wants to get into 40k? Actually, yeah, I would. Because it doesn't throw too many crazy things at the player. The sculpts are good, you have options, but it doesn't overwhelm you. Would I get it myself again? Probably not, because unless I'm starting an entirely new army, I wouldn't get it again, because there's only so many intercessors that I'm going to need. I'd rather get like vehicles or characters or kit bash. And if I had to give this an objective score of out of whatever, I'd honestly give it probably an 8 out of 10 on a good day, because it does have value. It definitely has value, and at the same time, I just feel that GW just missed the mark by not including just a bit more than what they could have. And I understand that they're a company that has to, watch their profit margins. They included waterslide transfers and just about every other product that they produce that uses them, especially with the box sets. And then I gotta say, is this a good for in getting into the meta of 40k? To that, I have no clue, because I am more concerned about playing game, well, just having fun and hobbying, than I am actually like playing a game. Yeah, is this kind of anticlimactic? Yeah. But if you're interested in Space Marines, you're interested in 40k, you want to get a good bang for your buck, yeah, I would say go get the Combat Patrol. 8 out of 10. B plus if I was giving it a grade. Could be improved upon a little bit, and honestly, it's not going to take up too much space on your shelf. You could probably, so that's also another plus. And anyways, thanks for watching. Bye. Before you go, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe. Anyways, this is Frontiers Horizon signing off, and until next time, stay frosty.